with some of the greatest names in arts and culture, presented by ADMAF, the Abu Dhabi Music and Arts Foundation. In this edition, we meet Quincy Jones, the man who changed the face of music. The Grammy Award-winning artist, composer, producer, conductor, entrepreneur and humanitarian looks back on an extraordinary career and gives some valuable advice to those who want to realise their own musical ambitions.
"11 years old. Before that, I wanted to be a gangster because I'm from Chicago, and that's all I saw. Every day of my life with dead bodies and Tommy guns. During the Depression in Chicago, it was a tough time back then. My father was a master carpenter and worked for one of the most notorious gangs in Chicago. There was gangs everywhere, and that's all we saw. And then and when we went out to the Northwest after Al Capone ran the gang out of Chicago, he put us on a trailway bus to go to the Northwest. And he worked at the Bremerton shipyard just near Seattle. And we wanted to be baby gangsters. And we broke into this armory because there was ice cream and pie coming in. And then we went around and broke into the rooms, and I broke in one room and saw a spinning piano in the dark and almost closed the door. And something said, "Go back in that room." And I went over to the piano, and every cell in my body said, "This is what you do the rest of your life." And that was it. That saved my life, Well, it's more than inspiration. It's all music, involves the left and right brain. That's the emotion, and the intellect. And that's the best part about music, because it makes kids to get involved in music, they learn everything else faster because they have left and right brain always working. Music insists on that. You have to use both sides of the intellect. And my goal is to try to inspire more young people to learn the science of their music, to learn the background, the history, everything of it.
What are the ingredients of a successful partnership?
First is, as I said, truth, honesty, and love. You shouldn't work with somebody that you don't really have common interests with or feel like there's a togetherness, because it's a very intimate relationship, very. And a producer has to be a babysitter, a psychiatrist, outside of being a musician, and the judgment, when they tell them to let's take a rest or let's take 3 more takes or something. And when you work with Frank Sinatra and Ray Charles, you better know what you're talking about. You tell them to jump without a net, you better know what you're talking about. So thank God when Frank called me, I was ready for him, because he's an incredible musician. So is Ray Charles, and I started with him.
How has technology changed the face of music?
That's not what it's about. It's a good device, but people only use auto-tune if they can't really sing, and it puts them in tune, and it helps them sound like they know what they're doing. And I don't think that's the way you learn an art and a craft. It's like Rembrandt or Michelangelo using a machine to help him design the top of the Sistine Chapel. It's insane. It's insane. It really is. And it's lazy.
You're working with a number of phenomenal young musicians at the moment from many different countries. How do you spot real talent, and how do you develop it?
Well, the kids have they have the talent, and that's why they're with us, and they find us. I wouldn't know where to find them. We have a young guitar player from Slovakia, Andreas Varadi. That is unbelievable. He's a gypsy guitar player, and he played like George Benson when he was 10 years old. We have an 11-year-old girl that has been writing for symphony orchestra since she was 5 years old, and she knows what she's doing, and that's what I like. And I think the combination, we have maybe about 11 people now that we travel all over the world. We just got back from Hiroshima, Tokyo, Korea, and the Montreux Jazz Festival, and they are astounding. I mean, astounding, because they work hard. That's what it takes, is work, There used to be a thing they'd say is, success precedes work only in the dictionary, and that's alphabetical. But you have to work, and study your craft, to know it. Because music is an amazing, to me, it's the voice of God. And it is only 12 notes. Did you know that? Composing and orchestrating, but that's heaven. To sit up 2 days or 3 days, or whatever it takes, and in your soul and in your mind to try to hear that orchestra in your head, and then write it down so that they know what you're thinking. The next day when you drop your hand for that orchestra, there's no greater feeling than that, ever. To me, there's only good and bad music, And bad music is when people don't take the time to put the energy and the work to make it good, Like anything else, Would you want a doctor to give you a brain operation if you didn't even know how to shoot penicillin? Would you? Or a pilot that only had played kites flying you over the Pacific? I don't think so. There's no room for oops or with a surgeon or a pilot. No mistakes. It's the same with music. You have to, if you really want to do it, you can't say to 120 musicians, then they know you don't know what you're doing.
In 2011, you worked on an adaptation of your Grammy Award-winning Better You, Better Me. Bukra was a massive hit and raised much-needed funds for arts education across the Arab region. In your opinion, what role should music play in a young person's upbringing?
Everything. It affects their education, their concentration. It keeps them away from doing stupid things, because we all do stupid things because children, I have 7, are born in the alpha state, where they do whatever they feel, But if they get connected with something like music, it takes them in a different direction. Everything, number one, we have to get mechanical things together like a performance rights society, like we're trying to do with China. That's 1.3 billion people, that's a lot of people. But I think we're getting close. I've been over there a lot, But here, it's a very progressive place, I know the history, that this was the desert with camels in it a few years ago. And when I see Abu Dhabi and Sharjah with all these universities and Dubai, it's absolutely unbelievable what's happening here. And the only place I could compare it to is Shanghai and Beijing. The difference is the Shanghai and Beijing use British architecture, and here they keep their roots, and they have all Islam architecture, which I love, But here, we need all of the fundamentals, in terms of teaching facilities and broad teaching facilities that encompasses your own music, which is quarter tone music, All of the music in the Middle East is quarter tone. I used to sit in Turkey at the Sophia Mosque, in the Blue Mosque, 8 hours a night listening to them sing the quarter tone music when I was 23 years old, And it just fascinated me because it comes again from pain. It's just like the blues, comes from pain. And this is expression of the quarter tone. It's interesting. So it represents the country.
What advice can you give to young people here in UAE who want to follow music industry?
Who want to get in the music industry? Work. Hard, Prove it. If you want to be a good musician, prove it. And that means you got to work, you have to rehearse, you're not going to sound great in the beginning. Forget about Pro Tools, Pro Tools is a easy way out. I'm serious. Pro Tools is, you don't have to learn anything, the machine will do it all for you, But you're working for the machine if you don't know what you're doing, But if you learn what you're doing, the machine will work for you. And that's fine, that's when technology comes in and into its full blossom.